スジャータの音楽が8時をお知らせします。
You know that feeling when you find some music and it just hits right, like it feels familiar but also completely fresh.
Oh yeah, that discovery buzz.
That's exactly the kind of vibe we're chasing today. We're going to really dig into the story of electronic music producer ksd6700.
Yeah, should be good. And we've got some interesting sources to work with. ksd6700's own blog posts, which are pretty insightful, you know.
Right.
Plus news articles tracking their career and some biographical details too. Gives us a decent map.
Perfect. So the mission really is to trace those key influences, the big projects, how their sound evolved, especially within that whole Chiba and Tokyo electronic scene.
Definitely.
Okay, so where do we kick this off? The beginning, I guess.
Well, yeah, and the beginning's pretty interesting. Born in what's called the Detroit district of Chiba. And get this, the same year the Roland TB-303 came out.
Wow, really? The 303?
Yeah.
That's almost like destiny, isn't it? For an electronic artist.
Kind of feels that way. You can imagine, even if it's just a name coincidence, that Detroit techno energy sort of percolating there in Chiba.
Wild. And music was there early on. I saw mentions of Montessori Yamaha classes.
Yep. And that's where they first got their hands on a synth, the Yamaha EOS. Apparently quite a common one then.
Okay, the EOS. But then there was this story about a performance.
Ah, yeah, the shock of having to perform on a DX7 instead. Totally different vibe. Much harder to get your head around, especially back then.
Oof. Yeah, that's a big leap. From something maybe more intuitive like the EOS to the complexities of FM synthesis on the DX7, that could definitely leave a mark.
For sure. It might have planted that seed, you know, wanting more direct control, maybe building their own tools later.
Makes sense. Okay, fast forward a bit. The anime influence. Nausicaa.
Right. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. The electronic score in that film apparently sparked a real interest in computer music. Joe Hisaishi's score, right?
Yeah, iconic stuff. Quite a shift from, like, formal music lessons to those big atmospheric electronic sounds.
Shows how inspiration pops up in unexpected places, doesn't it? And then finding TM Network and Access CDs at a used shop while prepping for exams at SEPI-SX.
TM Network, wow. Japanese synth pop pioneers. So adding more layers to the influences, not just techno.
Exactly. Building this diverse sonic palette early on, then high school comes around.
And more exploration. Yellow Magic Orchestra, I saw?
Yep, YMO. Huge influence, obviously. Plus messing around with a co-org Trinity workstation. But the real push towards making electronic music seems to have come from a classmate.
Ah, the peer influence. Who did the classmate introduce them to?
Takuya Shino and Tuatei, giants of the Japanese scene, that apparently flipped the switch.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a direct line into the heart of Japanese techno and electronic pop. And they were in a band, too. A cover band.
Yeah, played keyboards in a Lunacy cover band.
Strongest Matsuda band.
Ah, love it. So they had performance chops, band experience, then university.
Joined the Sound Create Music Circle. But apparently didn't find many other people really into techno there.
Oh, right. After getting fired up about Ishino and Tai, that must have been a bit of a letdown, maybe felt a bit isolated. Could be. Probably reinforced that idea of needing to, you know, build their own thing, find their own tribe.
Which leads us straight to INAGE Records.
Right.
Founded in 2003.
Exactly. With Tatsuhiro Ida, who also goes by Oxoxo and some others. A proper techno label based in INAGE, Chiba, giving their sound a home.
And they started running parties too. Techno.
Technobaka, yeah. Or Technobaka, kind of meaning techno idiots or techno freaks in a fun way. Happened in Nishichiba. Really vital for building that local community.
Those local parties are always so crucial, aren't they? And the early compilations, Confusion.
Right. Showcased a mix of styles coming out of that scene. It wasn't just one narrow definition of techno, sort of figuring things out.
That exploration phase.
Yeah.
And they even made t-shirts. Nishichiba t-shirts.
Yeah, and INAGE t-shirts, apparently they got surprisingly popular. It's that whole thing of music tying into local pride, a visual identity.
Totally, being part of the club. Literally, what about that nickname, the Fast Man? Any idea where that came from?
The sources don't elaborate much. Could be anything, really. Fast production, fast DJing, just one of those scene things, probably. Adds a bit of mystery.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. The sound itself, the term virtual acid comes up. What's that about?
It seems to be ksd6700's own term for their style.
Yeah.
You don't get a super precise definition, but the fact they got recognition at art events.
Like the Chiba City Museum of Art's Art Laboratory in 2008.
Exactly, and being a jury recommendation at the Japan Media Arts Festival in 2012. Plus that Mochitsuki project funded through a Media Arts grant in 2013.
Right.
It suggests virtual acid might be more than just club tracks. Maybe a more conceptual take on acid, perhaps playing with digital textures or ideas, something that crossed over into the art world.
Interesting. A sound getting attention beyond the dance floor. Then they move into net labels, launching Omantic Records in 2011. That feels very independent.
Totally. Net labels are huge for that DIY spirit, getting music out directly. And Omantic supported artists like Dearth XY, also known as Dr. Tintin, and Kamira Ring from Iran, building a community.
And Omantic had this unique branding, didn't it? The perverted net label.
Yeah, in that kind of cheeky Japanese internet culture way. Not necessarily offensive, but definitely playful and weird.
And the VST filter they planned. Oh, Chamami. Inspired by.
Inspired by, well, the sources say boobs, pizza, and synthesizer knobs.
Okay, that is memorable. A VST filter inspired by boobs, pizza, and synth knobs. You don't see that every day.
Definitely not. It's peak internet weirdness, but also kind of creative in a boundary-pushing way. And the wildest part,
What's that?
it actually caught on internationally. The French and Italian future funk scenes apparently picked up on Oh Tsunami and started calling it the nipple twist effect.
No way. The nipple twist effect. From Chiba to Europe via pizza and knobs. That's incredible.
You just can't make this stuff up sometimes. The internet, eh?
Seriously. Okay, let's talk about the Injectone series. This feels really central, starting in 2016.
Absolutely. Injectone 9.1 sets the whole tone. The concept was basically, wow, Italo disco is suddenly huge in INAGE. No way. That phrase, ham non si firstly.
Very specific, right? And it births this whole idea, ENG disco.
Yeah, this slightly mythical local sound. And they even invented this fictional backstory for it, centered around a massive disco called Turnberry Turn.
Designed by Meadowfard, Sid Mead's twin brother.
Exactly. Sid Mead, the Blade Runner designer. It's just this layered, humorous world building around the music. Really draws you in.
So what is the ENG disco sound then, if it's not just straight Italo?
It's described as having ksd6700's melodic signature. You can hear it in tracks like XNA's INAGE discotheque. It's got that Italo feel maybe, but filtered through this specific Chiba sensibility.
And the key players.
Yeah.
Yoka from Technoplanet is named as the originator.
Seems so. He was actually from Shibuya, Tokyo, came to INAGE for university, joined that same Sound Create circle, and started Technoplanet. So an outsider, in a way, sparked this hyper-local sound.
That's fascinating. How influences travel and mutate. What was Technoplanet's vibe?
Yokut brought this melodic style, described as kind of unpolished but charming, maybe folksy. Combined with UCD's production, ksd6700 apparently called it aiming for Disney Ghibli-esque pop in techno.
Disney Ghibli Techno.
Okay.
And KSD6700 was also an XNA.
Yeah, first with Coco, and then Yokut joined later. And the melodies KSD6700 wrote for XNA definitely picked up on that INAGE disco thing. It was all interconnected.
Right, so the first Injectone comp really captured that moment. Who was on it?
Let's see. Technoplanet, of course, SH, XNA's, KSD6700 themselves, 909 State, Technopop Unit Mitaka, Cobalt Bomb L for Omega, and Yokut Solo. A real snapshot of that scene.
Cool. Then jumping ahead, Injectone 5 had a different feel. More nostalgic.
Yeah, the theme was, we still don't know the title of the song we heard that night, referencing the closure of Chiba Parco and Mitsukoshi Chiba big local department stores. So tying the music directly to local landmarks, and maybe that feeling of change, of things ending, that's powerful.
Really anchors the music in lived experience, doesn't it? And they mention specific local spots too, like the maybe fictional Turnberry Turn and a real Nishi Chiba disco called Racky Waste. It paints a picture.
Definitely. So from this really strong local base, KSD6700 starts looking outwards more. Compilations on Hypnotic Room Japan, Tin Man's Global A.
Yeah, 2016, 2018. Seems like a return perhaps to a more Generally recognizable club sound, connecting with wider networks after the deep dive into INAGE disco.
Makes sense. And remixes for artists like Fire Drill on Day of Fruits. That's a cool online platform.
Right, tapping into those global online communities. And then the releases on the UK label ksd6700 in 2020, that feels significant.
Especially getting support from Robert Owens, a house music legend, giving the nod. That's huge validation.
Absolutely massive. Opens up a whole new audience. And the collaborations kept coming. Remixes for Gasio on BADL QQK, Fire Drill again on Seafront Recordings, connecting with artists everywhere. And the Iran connection through Sampatic Records, Kamia Ring's label.
Yeah, releasing the Rockin' Music EP in 2022, getting support from Nessa Azadika. It's amazing seeing these links form, like Tehran to Chiba through music.
It really is. The sources mention them sharing demos back and forth, this mutual appreciation across cultures. That's the best of the internet right there.
Totally. And ksd6700 just seemed incredibly busy around late 2022. EPs on Sampatic, Acid Works like the Ghetto Blaster, and Peaky Tunin of the Yellow Mad Rats EPs.
About those titles.
Right. Plus Datafruits.fm releases, more compilations, just nonstop.
And still doing remix work, like for the Japanese techno pop, Kill 'em MG, keeping those local ties too.
And that release party in August 2021 with Gasio and RO4 celebrating releases on Quebec Records and BADL QQK, it shows that blend of local scene and international reach.
Let's not forget their own EPs around then too. Frog Hopper on Quebec in 2021.
And remixing Gasio's Fried Chicken and Dak Horn on BADL QQK that year, plus the collab with RO4 Blauer Enzian on Feel Hype White in 2022. It's just prolific is the word, I think. Moving across different labels, different sounds within that techno acid space.
Definitely. Highly active, clearly in demand, working with a huge range of people globally.
What about their DJing? What's the style like?
Described as mixing techno, ghetto house, acid house, using voice samples, working the faders dynamically. Sounds pretty high energy.
Yeah, sounds like fun. And the influences listed. Ken Ishii, Taki Yoshino,
Derek May, Underground Resistance, Jeff Mills. The classic Detroit and Japanese techno heroes are all there. Makes perfect sense given their sound. And nods to Disc Union, the record store, and DJ and OBU. Grounded in that record culture and local scene respect, too.
Absolutely, it all fits together.
Okay, one last thread. This connection to the French duo DEUX.
Yeah, that's a really interesting side note. Apparently, ksd6700 is a big fan, especially of the track Felicita.
And they remixed it around 2010.
Yeah, and actually managed to connect with Gerard Pelletier from DEUX because of it. But then, the sad part is finding out later that Pelletier had passed away in 2013. It adds this kind of poignant layer to that connection.
Yeah, that's touching, actually. That cross-generational, cross-genre appreciation, and then the sadness of loss. Adds a human element.
Definitely.
So pulling it all together, ksd6700's path is, well, pretty unique. From that Chiba Detroit district beginning, soaking up techno,
To building a whole local scene with INAGE Records and the fantastic weirdness of INAGE Disco.
then diving into net labels like Omantic, the whole
yeah,
Umami thing.
And then breaking out internationally, collaborating widely, releasing on labels in the UK, Iran, all over. Getting props from legends like Robert Owens.
Yeah, it's quite the journey, but always with that distinct artistic voice, rooted in Chiba but reaching globally.
Exactly. You see that blend of local and global constantly, that DIY net label energy, and this consistent exploration of acid and techno, but always with their own, often playful twist.
It really makes you appreciate how these regional scenes, these individual passions, can create something totally unique that resonates way beyond their hometown. Maybe this inspires you listening to go check out ksd6700 stuff or dive into those Iron Tone comps, see what hidden gems you might uncover.